Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to My Deep Guide. Well, today we're going to check out the Remarkable Marker Plus, an in-depth review into this pen and to check it out. Why? Well, originally 2 years ago almost, when I received the review sample of the Remarkable 2, I have received the Remarkable Marker Plus pen and I have used it. But the problem is that I had that set only for like 2 weeks and then it was sent on. And when I received my own personal Remarkable 2, I ordered it with a standard marker. So I wanted to check this out because I had recently the opportunity to test out the Pen 2 Pro. I thought it would be a good opportunity to check this one out as well. So I bought this one to test it out. And I've had it now for about a month and a half. So here comes the review, some of my impressions, and yeah, the review of the Remarkable Marker Plus. So, the Remarkable Marker Plus, what is it? Well, it is a passive EMR pen that is designed to work with Remarkable 2. It has 4096 levels of pressure sensitivity. It has exchangeable nibs on front. It has an eraser cap on the back. It does not have a button, as the Remarkable does not have a button functionality. It also is magnetic, which means they can snap and be held by the device securely. And it also has some other things that they mention, but more on that a little bit later. But general overview, it's a passive pen with exchangeable nibs and an eraser and a magnet to hold it to the device. It costs $129 US, which is an insane amount of money to actually ask and pay for a pen. So let's see what the packaging is like and what do you get inside. Just a very quick overview. So inside you get, of course, the pen and you get the marker tips. Now this is something that's actually quite important because some people just take out the pen and just throw away the box. And basically what you're doing is you're neglecting the words here, marker tips, and you just slide out and you get 9 extra marker tips. And this is a $15 value right there. So don't throw it away if you are buying this pen, because you're throwing away 15 bucks. Now, there's no denying that the Remarkable Marker Plus is a pen that feels and somewhat looks like a premium product. So the surface and the material that is used is extremely pleasant for the touch. The balance is nice and good, and there's some weight to it. I think it's 19 grams of weight, and this is actually a good thing because it really holds in the hand very nicely. The eraser cap is nice and smooth and quiet, so you don't really feel anything, and the end surface is actually quite smooth, almost rubbery like, which definitely ensures that you won't be scratching the screen. There isn't really much to talk about the actual design of the pen itself, other than the ergonomics that I've already covered, and the fact that in the back you have the Remarkable logo here. Unfortunately, unlike with the Remarkable 1 marker that they had, this is not a cubby hold for extra nibs. There's no such thing on the Marker Plus for the Remarkable 2. As mentioned, the Marker Plus ships with the 9 extra, or is it 9 extra? Let's see, this is 5, 9, and the 10th nib is in the pen. So you get actually in total 10 nibs for the Marker Plus. And this is also the nib extraction tool. So basically what you do is you put the nib through the hole, then you move it until you feel some resistance, and then you simply push and the nib is left here. How do you insert the nib into the marker? Well, very carefully so that you don't bend it, because if you bend it or break it, you will break the nib and it won't work properly. Now the important thing here is that once you actually put it in, don't leave it just kind of floating, or don't just put it in mildly. What you want to do is actually just mildly, normally press on it as if you were writing, just to make sure that it inserts all the way in. And this is valid for any pen just in general, and this is to avoid the ghost writing type of an effect. So just make sure that you set the nib all the way in. The nibs in general are quite good from the Remarkable. They can be somewhat squeaky at some point in time, but overall they feel quite nice, and yeah, comparatively are quite good. Are there better ones out there? Absolutely, there are definitely better ones, previous HP ones, but I think they're now Wacom ones if you want the felt tip nibs, but there's also some other ones that you can choose from. So definitely on the better side of things, and yeah, in general I think you shouldn't have too much problems with these nibs. How long will they last because they're soft? Well, that depends on your writing style, your writing amount, and things like that. But generally speaking, it varies from between a couple of weeks to maybe even a couple of months, depending on what you want to do. One thing to keep in mind is that as you use the nibs, they will spend and they will kind of flatten out and they will become to look much uglier and uglier. So let's see. So here you can see this is a new nib and this is a used nib, and you can see how it flattened out and it becomes a little bit uglier. But this one still has quite a lot of life left in it, and basically, you know, when the nib turns ugly, it's not time to actually throw it away. You can maybe file it down a little bit with a nail file to a sharper point if you wish. But generally speaking, yeah, they do turn ugly, but they still work. So it's a good idea to actually get the maximum out of each nib that you use. And as mentioned, the really good thing here is that the Remarkable Marker Plus and the Marker, they use the most standard of the standards for the nibs. So that means that you can easily exchange it for other nibs, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. So yeah, the writing feel with the Marker Plus, originally I was quite impressed with how it feels, even on Remarkable 2, which does have a glass top, versus Remarkable 1, for example, which was not a glass top. But it does feel really good when compared to other pens. Now, does it feel exceptionally amazing and good? No, but it definitely is in a higher category of pens, and it is one of the better pens that I have generally used. Now, when I compare it to the standard Marker, I do not feel any difference whatsoever, and that makes sense because essentially this is the same pen. It's using the same exact nibs on the same exact surface, it's using the same exact driver, so it does feel the same when you write. The things that feel a little bit different is basically the balance of the pen and the ergonomics of the pen itself, because it sits in the hand a little bit more differently than the standard Marker. But overall, the writing experience with the Marker Plus is really, really good and extremely pleasant. Now, there's something that I feel is very, very important to clarify, and this will lead to a point that I want to make regarding Remarkable and their marketing practices, and yeah, basically what they're doing and what to do, what not to do. It has to deal with the tilt sensitivity. Now, if you go onto the Remarkable website and you check out the texts for their Remarkable 2, and you read the blurb about the Marker Plus. So when I look at the specifications of the Marker Plus, they are saying no battery setup or pairing required, of course, because it's a passive pen. Special high friction marker tip. It's a good nib, but it's not special. Then it has 4096 levels of pressure sensitivity, which is fairly standard for all of the pens today. And this is the part that I have a problem with. It says 50 degrees of tilt gives an exceptional writing experience, and this is placed in the specifications of the marker. Now, if you actually check out the Remarkable 1 marker, they also have a tilt section which says the marker reacts to 512 levels of tilt, which lets you draw and write with the paper-like feeling. By tilting the marker, you can add shading and vary the thickness of your stroke. The tilt is only available for certain sketching tools. What they mean is, for example, especially when you're using a pencil tool, is if you are perpendicular to the screen, it will be thin, and as you increase the angle, the thickness is increasing as well. This is very nice. This is an excellent kind of a thing. However, and I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with the choice of careful marketing wording, because it's all designed to let a novice or a potential buyer fully believe that the tilt sensitivity is part of the marker itself. Well, let me assure you that it's not, because here's a jumbo Stadler. Would you look at that? And in its specifications, we don't have anything similar. Here's a Boox Pen 2 Pro. Interesting. That one doesn't have 50 degrees of tilt in its specifications. Here's MobiScribe's pen. Also doesn't have that in its specs. Here's Samsung S7 pen. So let's go like this. Would you look at that? So what is going on? Well, what's going on is that they have worded these marketing blurbs in a very, very careful way to make the customer believe that this is a marker feature. Now, this is deceptive. So this is not illegal, but it is deceptive, because what they are saying here in marker 1, they're saying the marker reacts to 512 levels of tilt. What does that mean? That means that the device itself, or the software itself, is reacting to the input and the amount of input it has. Because if you are inputting like this, there's a smaller amount of the surface, contact surface between the screen and the nib is smaller than when you make a larger contact like this. And that will be true for any of the pens, as you have seen. In the Remarkable 2 blurb, they don't say specifically that the marker has a tilt capability, but it does say 50 degrees of tilt gives an exceptional writing experience. And that is open-ended in such a way that it can be interpreted in any way possible. However, putting that into the specifications of Marker Plus and not into the device itself specifications, this is deceptive. And I do have a problem with that, because I know for a fact that a lot of users have been basically tricked by this, by believing that Remarkable 2 markers have tilt sensitivity. And I don't blame them. You can't really blame people for actually believing that, because the wording on their marketing blurbs has been intentionally designed and carefully made in such a way to do exactly that. So it's been done exceptionally well, but the motivation behind it and the morality behind it is highly questionable. So I just wanted to dispel that fact. So no, the Marker Plus and the standard marker, they do not have any special sensors for tilt angle detection. This is something that the software is doing by detecting the contact between the nib, the surface contact amount between the screen and the nib. And that means that you will have the same type of effect with any of the pens. Actually quite better on some of them, especially on the jumbo. But yeah, they all work exactly the same. So yeah, just wanted to clarify that because this bit of misinformation is still something that pops up from time to time. And while we're talking about Remarkable's marketing language and basically practices, what they choose is an acceptable type of behavior towards potential customers and existing customers, how easily it comes to them to actually deceive customers, that's something I have a problem with. And yet another example, as I said, the tilt sensitivity was example one, but there's another example, and that's basically if you go to frequently asked questions about Remarkable 2 markers. The second question is like, does the marker for Remarkable 1, this one, does that work with Remarkable 2? So does this work with this? Their answer on their website, on their own frequently asked questions, is no. It's not really or not optimally, it's a flat out no. The marker and marker signature, so this and the old signature version, are not compatible with Remarkable 2. The new markers are calibrated to work with Remarkable 2's second generation canvas display. Really? This marker isn't working. Nope, not at all. What you're actually seeing here is an illusion. So yeah, those are things that matter, and they are problematic. The Marker Plus is an exceptionally comfortable pen to use over extended periods of time. I think that has to do with the overall ergonomics of the pen and the surface, because it's not super smooth, it's just the right amount of rough, and the material feels actually quite pleasant against the skin itself. So you have really good balance, so it effortlessly stays in the hand, and you have a good grip when writing. Both of these actually ensure that you will have no problems using this marker for writing sessions that last an hour or even more. So that's a very, very good thing as well. Eraser, aside from how the eraser functionality works on the Remarkable, no, I'm not gonna cover yet again the eraser bug, even though it's still there, but the eraser on the pen itself, that's the second sensor that works as an eraser pen. Well, okay, you gotta press a little bit harder to make it work, and then it works. And it works great. So basically it just does everything that it needs to do. The only thing is that to my knowledge, there's no way to actually make this one work as a stroke eraser, which would have been a nice thing to at least have an option, but you don't have that. That's a software thing, so maybe they will be able to implement that at some point in time or another. One thing that I wanted to clarify is that the eraser functionality here is not dedicated, and it is not a specially designed or anything like that. So for example, if I choose a pencil, I do some lovely shading because that pen or brush is absolutely awesome. So I can erase here. Is it pressure sensitive? Nope, it's not pressure sensitive. All right, so that's that. Let's fill it out so that we can erase more. But here's, for example, Books Pen Pro, also with an eraser. Let's see, there we go. Erases nicely. Here's Staedtler Jumbo with an eraser. Actually works better than either of the two. Here's MobiScribe Pen, also eraser. Works as you would imagine. However, what doesn't work on Remarkable is the pens that have a button for an eraser. That will not work. That will simply continue working as if it's a normal pen. So any pen that has an eraser sensor on the back as a button will work with Remarkable. Can you erase with all four? No. You can't. As I mentioned, the Marker Plus comes equipped with a magnet, and the magnet is on the flatter side of the pen, this one here. So basically what you're supposed to do is snap it onto the device here, not there, not there, not there, not there, not on the front, because you'll just, that's not supposed to be there, but here. And basically it holds on really well, and that's something that I like. Let's see, can we lift the device? Oh, almost. So let's see, let's be very careful. Nope, let's try again, because usually that's the measure that I try to use, but it's going to be quite difficult because this is slippery if I'm super careful. No, almost, but no. So it cannot carry the weight of the device itself, but it holds on to the device really, really well. Now, will it fall off in your bag? Yes, it will. So if something knocks it off, there's no physical protection. Well, it might actually hold on to the back, but it's best not to kind of account for that. So it holds on to the device really well, but it's a good idea to maybe store the marker somewhere else when you're transporting the device, in your briefcase or your bag or whatever it may be, because it will protect the marker so that you don't lose it and it doesn't get damaged or anything like that. But overall, the magnet is really good. All right, so the next thing that I want to cover is the durability of the Marker Plus. Now, the original review unit, when I received it back in late August 2020, I got the Marker Plus with that, but I only had a whole package, everything, for 2 weeks, and that was my only experience with the Marker Plus. Since then, when I received my order and my own personal Remarkable 2, I ordered it with a standard pen because I really don't care about the eraser. In 2 years of almost 2 years of use, I didn't have any problems with the marker, standard marker, but a significant amount of other people, Remarkable users, have reported issues, especially with the Marker Plus, that it's brittle and it has two main failing points. Point number one is this nib holder ring tends to kind of chip off and break off, and fail point number two is that the eraser cap can simply fall off. Now, a lot of people are actually reporting that a simple drop of a pen from the desk onto the ground and even onto the carpet would cause these things to kind of fail. Now, I've been using this normally for about a month and I haven't had any problems, but I wanted to do like an on-camera test, drop test, and see what's what. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it from roughly this height, which is around 67 centimeters, all the way down to here, which is pretty much the standard height of a desk, a normal work desk. So I'm going to do 5 drops onto this kind of cloth surface, and then 5 drops onto the underneath hard surface directly, and see what we get. So let's okay, so I'm going to do everything in one take. So the marker works, right, before the test. All right, eraser and writing works fine. So let's do soft fall number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's see. Works. Works. All right. So that's good. Now let's move this out of the way and drop it onto the harder surface. Let's go. 1, 2. That one was hard. It actually bent the nib. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. So that was 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So let's see what we get. The state of the marker, aside from the bent nib, which I think I can bend back, yeah, kinda, because it fell directly on the nib, but the ring held. I don't see any cracks or anything like that, and this one still feels good and strong, right? So does it work? Yes, it does. Does it erase? Yes, it does. And does the famous tilt sensitivity work? It does. All right, so I mean, I could keep dropping it like on the ground and eventually anything will break, but this is at least what I can see from this pen that I have here. I have done the basic drop test that it has fallen from my desk 10 times, and I've simulated it 10 times that it fell on the carpet-like surface 5 times and on a hard surface like a floor 5 times, and nothing at all has happened to the pen. Now, I am not calling into question or disputing the fact that a lot of people have had the issues that the nib, the front would crack and the back would crack. That's indisputable. There's like tons of pictures and evidence and stories about that. What might be causing it? I don't know. Maybe after exposure to the sun, maybe over time the material becomes more brittle. I really don't know. I only know what I see here, and because there's a lot of stories about that, I wanted to test it out here in one take so that we can see what's really what. But yeah, it's kind of working now. I'm gonna do one final test and just drop it like directly onto the eraser. Right, and then drop it directly onto the nib. And let's see. Yeah, I don't even need to reseat the nib. Everything seems good. Of course, the nib is now completely bent, but it absorbed the impact and the pen held. So that's the results that I see from the durability test that I just did with the Marker Plus, and it held as I would expect it to, which means well. Alright, so now let's talk about the value of the remarkable Marker Plus. At $130 US. I mean, this is certainly a very nice marker pen. It performs good and it looks good and all of that. But is it worth $130? And my argument would be absolutely not. Why? Well, because for the same amount of money, you can actually buy a Jumbo Stadler, which granted doesn't have a magnet, but it has a much better eraser on the back, and it has a different kind of a standard here, which feels really good for the nib. And you can buy the Moby Scribe as well, which is a nice thin one, which uses a standard types of nibs and also has the back eraser. Now, neither of these two have a magnet, so that's something to kind of consider. But if you wanted a magnet, you could buy also the Books Pen 2 Pro. Now, I don't recommend that you buy it because I think this one's also overpriced, but at $80, it's $50 cheaper, which means that you can buy this one and the Jumbo and still have a couple of bucks left around. Or you could buy the Samsung for when you get a deal. This is Samsung S7, which has a magnet, doesn't have an eraser, but it has a magnet. It's a bit weaker. And the Jumbo, and have about $40 left, which is for $135. You could get all three of these instead of just this. Now, the main question is this pen better than all of these together? No, absolutely not. So it just doesn't make any sense. And if you want to compare it outside of the world of pens and things like that, then you can actually get a surprising thing. And maybe you wanted to decide to pick up a hobby of some sort, and maybe instead of buying a Marker Plus pen, you could decide that you might want to try your hand at learning how to play electric guitar and buying and getting the guitar, a cable, an extra set of new strings, a set of picks, belt, a tuner, which is something that you will definitely need with a guitar of this price range, and a gig bag where everything fits, and a micro amp of actually a decent quality. So you can get the entire set, a guitar, a cable, extra set of strings, extra set of picks, your tuner, a micro amp, a belt, and a carry bag, and be basically set up so that you can start playing. Now, the guitar is bottom of the barrel, but it's playable and still a guitar and it works. Or you can get a Marker Plus. Just a little bit of a perspective here on why I think the pricing of this marker is absurd. So yeah, definitely not not the best guitar that you can get all around. In fact, probably, most likely, this is the worst instrument that I've ever held in my hands. But it's still a full functioning instrument with a cable, full functioning little amp, extra set of strings, a tuner, set of picks, which are horrible, by the way, and things like that. But if you were deciding to see, do I want to pick up a guitar and maybe learn and things like that? Well, for 120 bucks, you get a full set and you don't have to throw away everything. I mean, this little amp is really cool to begin with. Plus, it has a little output and you can actually upgrade with it afterwards. The strings are fine. The rest you'll throw away, most likely, because even the tuner sucks. But at the very least, you will know in a very cheap way if you want to start playing a guitar or not. Then you can upgrade to something that's actually an instrument and usable and not this piece of garbage. And if I'm honest, collectively, the build quality and the overall quality, the material quality of the Remarkable Marker Plus, I think is collectively better than all of the quality on this entire guitar. That is unquestionably so. But is it more worth than all of this? I guess it depends how you look at it. And I know this is a silly comparison, I'm just having some fun, but I'm trying to also make a point, you know. Perspective is shifting about value of things, and 130 or 125 or how many ever dollars it is for a pen, no matter what kind of a pen, it's way too much. So yeah, to summarize the value of the Remarkable Marker Plus, even though it is a very nice pen, absolutely, really, really lovely pen to use and everything like that, I don't think it is worth $130, and I would be very hard pressed to find and justify any pen for such a use that's over $100 that I can deem as a good value for money. So it's the conclusion time for the Remarkable Marker Plus pen. And as usual, let's start with the cons. And this pen doesn't actually have that many cons. There's only two that I can give to this pen as cons. The first one that I personally didn't experience, but I have to take into account the reports of multiple users over the couple of years that we had, is the durability of the pen. Now, even though I have done the durability test, as you have seen, and nothing happened to this pen, so from my own personal experience so far, which is granted limited, only about a month and a half, The durability for me personally is actually quite good, and I didn't have a single problem with it. But too many users have reported the problems with the front chipping and the back cap falling off for this to be completely disregarded. So I think that there is some truth to it, but yeah, there's something going on definitely. But yeah, for I think normal use, while it's new, I didn't have any problems, and for me, this dropping it 10 times onto the desk is not normal at all. So even beyond normal, it's still actually working. Now, whether or not after prolonged exposure to the sun or a lot of time, maybe the material becomes more brittle, maybe there's material fatigue over time, things like that, well, I don't know, but that's entirely possible. So yeah, that's something to just keep in mind, that some users do experience durability issues with the Marker Plus. The second con, which is most definitely an objective con as far as I'm concerned, is the price. And at $130 US, it is very difficult to justify the price for a single pen. That's borderlining ridiculous. Now on to the pros of the remarkable Marker Plus, and there's plenty to actually be happy about with the Marker 2 Plus. First and foremost, the writing feel. The writing feel is excellent, and it feels premium, and it's really, really a nice experience to write with this pen. Second of all, the outside durability aside, the feel of the material that is being used is actually very pleasant against the skin, and the ergonomics of the pen is such that the balance and everything is done in a really, really good way, which all results in effortless writing over extended periods of time. So writing comfort as well with the Marker Plus is very, very high. Included nibs are of an excellent quality. It's a good package. You get overall 10 nibs, so the one in the pen plus 9 nibs in the package with the remarkable Marker Plus. While we're talking about the nibs, it's an important thing to also mention that while the remarkable nibs are really, really good, so you probably won't want to change to another one, but if you do and you want to use a different type of nib, like a Wacom or maybe something else, it doesn't matter, the Marker Plus is using the most standard of the standards for the nibs, so that means that it's easy to find replacement nibs or exchangeable nibs for the Marker Plus. And the final plus that I want to mention is that the magnet is really, really strong, and it always snaps into the correct place if you're putting it onto the device in the correct place in the first place. And it holds well to the device for normal type of use. Of course, if you put it in a purse or in a bag, I recommend that you store the marker separately from the device, because it's most certainly going to get knocked off, because it's only a magnetic force holding it in the end. So, the conclusion overall and the summary. Well, the remarkable Marker Plus is a wonderful pen on multiple fronts. It really, really is. But it is so overpriced that it just doesn't make any sense, and it's borderline impossible to justify the asking price. Instead of this one pen, on average, you can buy 3 other alternative pens, ones that I didn't show, but ones that I actually bought to kind of make the point, is for the same amount of money. It's this one, this is the S Pen for S21 Ultra, Galaxy S22 Ultra, and the Galaxy Tab S7 pen. All of these 3 were less than this one, and that's just a very big issue. Or if you want to have some fun with the comparisons, as I've shown, you can buy an entire guitar starter pack, including a guitar, extra set of strings, picks, an amp, a tuner, a cable, a gig bag, all of it for the same amount of money that you would pay for a single pen. So it's really hard to justify that price. And no, by no means is the remarkable Marker Plus the only pen out there that's over $100. I mean, the same arguments that I'm putting out here equally apply to every other pen that is in that 120, 130 kind of price range, including the Supernote, Heart of Metal, and also the Lamy pens. All of these pens in their own right are amazing pens, and they're wonderful, and they feel wonderful, and they truly are spectacular products, right? But are they worth $130? For me personally, no. That's why I can't really justify that you even go into that price range for a single pen. That is just absurd. Now, we've seen a similar thing happen in the past with when iPhone X came out, and basically that made an artificial shift of what the price is for a high-end smartphone, and then this complete disbalance was introduced between the asking price and the price that people were willing to pay, which is the main problem, because somebody can ask however much money they want, but unless somebody's willing to pay that money, then it's not going to be something that's sustainable. However, these things are sustainable, obviously, and as a consequence, in the smartphone world, we now have a really big shift between how much you pay for how much performance and specifications, and basically what's the value per buck that you get. And that was severely shifted back when iPhone X came out, and I think that we are seeing a very similar thing happen here with a trend that is generally becoming accepted, that a high-end or a high class of a marker for these devices is going to cost $120 plus. That I think is unacceptable, and especially because there's so many alternatives that can do the job. Maybe not everything exactly the same and well as this one, but they're going to be more than good enough. So basically it comes down to this. If value and money are not your thing and you really don't care about that at all, then you will probably be very happy with the Remarkable Marker Plus, until maybe it happens that the front chips off or the cap falls off, or you actually lose it and then you have to buy another one for $130 again, and then you realize that you've spent $260 for two pens, whereas instead you could have bought for $299 you can buy a replacement Remarkable device, or for $240 you can buy a MobiScribe Origin, which includes the pen and the device and a case and everything else. However, if value and money are a consideration for you, then there are far cheaper options, none of which will offer exactly what all of the things that you get with the Remarkable 2 Marker Plus. So you won't get the strong magnet that works exactly the same as on the Marker Plus, and you won't get the combination of magnet and the rear eraser on the end, so you won't be getting that as an alternative. But these alternatives, this one, even this one, like all of these, they will do the job just fine. And let's not even talk about the fact that for the price of one of these, you can get three of these, and even if you lose one, you're remaining with two, and if you lose two, you remain with one. So you need to lose 3 pens in order to kind of start thinking and buying a replacement pen, whereas this one, you lose it, you're out $130. Ultimately, I think that this is a highly individual type of a thing and a consideration, and only you can decide whether or not Remarkable Marker Plus is worth $130 for you and your needs or wants. But if we disregard the price and put it somewhere on the side, if that's what we want to do, this is a wonderful marker, but you need to live with the expectation that maybe it might happen that at some point in time there might be some material fatigue, and maybe the ring around the nib might chip and fall off, and maybe the cap might fall off, because it has been experience of quite a few users previously. So it's something to definitely just keep in mind. Alright, I hope that you liked the video and that you found it useful. If you did, please like and subscribe and ding the notification bell down in the description below to get notified when new videos come out on My Deep Guide. Also, if you like the work that I do, you can support my work by checking out the My Daily Organizer. My Daily Organizer has been carefully designed to offer a comprehensive yet effortless all year round experience. If used daily and in a recommended fashion, My Daily Organizer, or MDO for short, can significantly improve your productivity, effectiveness, and efficiency in both professional and personal settings. Full interactivity with over 11,000 hyperlinks spreading throughout the entire document, dedicated Monday and Sunday week start versions of the document, full year calendar with access to any month, quarter, and day of the year, quarterly organizer also with access to the months and the days of the selected quarter, monthly organizer with quick links to weeks each day, and also some room for organizational and planning notes for that month. Weekly organizer is also available with access to each day of the week, and you also have one extra weekly notes page. The daily organizer side offers a daily planner page, 2 dedicated note pages, and a diary page for each day of the year, which can help keep track of your short and long-term goals. And you also have access to 99 cataloged and numbered My Notes pages, and the same thing with 99 cataloged My List pages. There are 3 different cover styles to choose from depending on your personal preference, and there's also a dedicated left-handed version of the MDO created especially for the Remarkable platform. MDO has multi-platform compatibility for the Remarkable, Supernote, and Books platforms. It can and will work on other platforms as well. Main prerequisites are that the platform has a dedicated PDF reader with support for writing annotations into the PDF, and of course hyperlink functionality. If you would like to learn more about how MDO works, check the videos in the My Daily Organizer playlist in the description below. Or if you already like how MDO sounds and it's something that can help you better organize your professional and or personal life, then you can buy it at mydeepguide.com/shop. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye!